The laptop is open. The document is blank. You told yourself you would start at 7 p.m. It's now 7:12. Instead of typing, you check your phone. Just for a minute. A small scroll, a short video, a quick distraction. You still care about the task. You still intend to do it. So why didn't you begin? In that small moment of delay, something very human is happening. Procrastination rarely begins with laziness. It begins with discomfort. The task in front of you feels heavy, maybe unclear, maybe demanding, maybe tied to pressure or fear of failure. Your brain senses that discomfort instantly. Behavioral research shows that when faced with two options, one that feels uncomfortable now but rewarding later, and one that feels pleasant now but unimportant later, the brain often chooses immediate relief. Not because you lack discipline, but because your brain is wired to value immediate rewards more strongly than distant ones. Finishing the project might bring long-term satisfaction, but checking your phone brings immediate emotional relief, and in the short term, relief wins. Psychologists have found that much of human behavior is shaped by reinforcement. If a behavior reduces discomfort, even briefly, the brain marks it as useful. So when you avoid starting the task and you feel a small drop in stress, your brain learns something important. Delaying works. Procrastination is also deeply connected to emotional regulation. Often the task itself is not the real problem. The emotion attached to it might be self-doubt, overwhelm, perfectionism, fear of not doing it well. Instead of processing those emotions directly, the brain looks for escape. Avoidance learning happens when we repeatedly escape discomfort and feel better afterward. Over time, the brain begins to automate that escape. The task becomes the cue. Avoidance becomes the behavior. Relief becomes the reward. And without realizing it, you've built a habit loop. Let's return to the moment at 7:12 p.m. Cue. You look at the blank document and feel tension. Behavior. You open social media instead. Reward. The tension softens. That relief may be small, but it is powerful enough. Studies suggest that the brain releases small amounts of dopamine, not only when we experience pleasure, but when we anticipate it. That quick distraction offers predictability and ease. The brain prefers what feels safe and certain. Repeat this cycle enough times and procrastination stops being a decision. It becomes automatic. You no longer consciously think, I will avoid this. Your brain simply redirects you. This is conditioning, not weakness. There is another layer. By the time many people sit down to do meaningful work, their mental energy is already depleted. Throughout the day, the brain has made hundreds of decisions. Behavioral psychology shows that willpower is not endless. It weakens with fatigue. When energy drops, the brain defaults to familiar, low-effort behaviors. And if procrastination has been reinforced before, it becomes the path of least resistance. This is why telling yourself to just try harder often fails. Because procrastination is not solved by force, it is maintained by patterns. It is easy to interpret procrastination as a character flaw, but psychologists have found that behavior usually serves a purpose. Procrastination protects you and temporarily from emotional discomfort. It prioritizes feeling better now over succeeding later. From the brain's perspective, that makes sense. The problem is not that your brain is broken. The problem is that it has learned a strategy that works in the short term, but harms you in the long term. Understanding this changes the tone of the conversation. Instead of asking, why am I so lazy? You begin asking, what discomfort am I trying to avoid? That question leads to awareness, and awareness interrupts automation. Because procrastination is behavioral, change also happens behaviorally. Psychologists suggest that lasting improvement rarely comes from motivation alone. It comes from altering the environment and reducing friction. When tasks feel smaller, clearer, and less emotionally threatening, the brain resists less. When the starting point feels safe rather than overwhelming, avoidance decreases. When the environment makes distraction harder and focus easier, the habit loop weakens. You are not fighting yourself. You are retraining a response. Slowly, the cue changes. The behavior shifts. The reward becomes progress instead of relief. Procrastination is not proof that you don't care. Often it is proof that you care deeply and fear the discomfort that comes with trying. It is a learned response to emotional tension. And like any learned response, it can be reshaped. The next time you delay, pause before judging yourself. Because procrastination is not a failure of character. It is a signal that something feels unsafe, unclear, or overwhelming. And when you learn to listen to that signal with curiosity instead of criticism, you stop fighting your brain and start understanding it. Like, share, and subscribe to understand people a bit better, including yourself. What if procrastination isn't the problem, but a message you haven't learned to read yet?